Hey guys, how are you? Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Arturo Ahuatzin, and today I'm so happy to share with you guys the episode number 3 of my podcast. On this episode, I had a conversation with my MMA and Jiu-jitsu trainer, CJ Stong Heart. We talked a little bit of one of our favorite podcasts on how we've been dealing with this whole COVID-19 pandemic, and also he took the time to answer a few questions that my followers on Instagram and on Facebook sent me for him. I hope you enjoy and let me know what you think about it. First of all, thank you very much for being here. It means the world to me.
Yeah.
That you are on the third episode of many, I hope. Yeah. Basically, the channel is gonna talk about do the stuff, you know, the things that I love, because in that way it's gonna be very easy for me to make content. You know, from like MMA, boxing, jiu-jitsu, motorcycles, weed.
You don't want to be fake, right? People can steal that.
Yeah.
It's kind of like I find like internet ads or whatever, you're sponsored by some company. It's like, that makes no sense.
Did you listen to Joe Rogan?
I always listen to Joe Rogan like really intensely for a long time. I think I jumped in when he was like episode 10.
What?
Yeah, way back in the day when I was like, I was teaching. I grew up on a reservation, Indian reservation, and I was teaching jiu-jitsu and all those things, and like I would wait at before and after class. I'd have to wait for like the next group of kids or whatever, and I would listen to the Joe Rogan podcast way back. I remember like they weren't even in the studio, any of the studios. It was in like his house. He also said like some funny stuff. Like he had one girl show up who was like, I don't think she was a porn star, but she'd done some like kind of sound like more adult stuff like that, and she's like talking about how she was talking with his daughter and his daughter was telling her she had to take her shoes off and stuff, and he's like, I just felt like, you know.
Yeah, it's like weird.
Yeah, I need a place, a different place for bringing all these people into my house.
I like how he have this like huge box on the studio with like lots of weed and like CBD drinks and like all sorts of stuff.
Oh yeah, he's like, it's probably cool. One of the, I like hearing about people that go to the like not so much his not so much his guests, but people who've gone with the guests and they talk about it because they go like, man, Joe Rogan's got like, he's got these dojos so nice, like the nicest dojo.
The article about how much he's gonna get from Spotify.
Yeah, I think that's possible money. I don't want to say like they're just straight up cut him that check.
But I think it's pretty close to what he's gonna get, because if you think like he have like over 1,400 episodes.
Yeah, and they bought the whole the library and just what he brings in every day. Like I remember always on Apple, he was always like number 1 or 2 in the world all the time. So, which makes me laugh because I think that he's so popular because he's basically like, just for men. And there's very few outlets where just men can go, like straight out. So, and it's very like all things. Like it's not just this is a hunting show, so you're a guy and you like hunting, you can go to the show. It's kind of like a bit of everything. And I find being a man, there's a lot to being a man. As much as I think people decide that or say that men are super simple, there's just a lot to doing it, a lot to being one, or to being perceived as one too.
The thing that I like about him is that like, because of how many times he have done the show and how many people, interesting people and smart people that he have talked to, he knows about so much shit.
Yeah, he was always an inquisitive person though, apparently. Like even when he because he used to have like his own website with his own chat forum that he would jump into, and he would do a lot of reading and talking to people. I think he was just always that kind of person, and to put that on that platform, to just share that with everybody, I think that's what made him so popular and famous. Was that it was just, he's always into some interesting stuff, and he always takes it from a view of wanting to learn. Like he's really willing to listen to you but not fully agree with everything you say. Like he will ask questions and try to force his own narrative in the conversation.
I have seen that, like sometimes he asks a question to the guest and what he's like listening is like, but the fact that he don't receive money, or he didn't used to receive money from anywhere, that make it very objective to me. So that's like, okay, he's not a sellout.
Well, he makes his money through like stand-up. That's actually the one interesting thing that I've noticed for like this whole pandemic thing was that if anybody, comedians or the jiu-jitsu people, MMA people, is like at the beginning there was a big group of people going like, no, you all gotta go along with things, and then as soon as it started hitting everybody's like pocketbooks, they were like, no, this is bullshit, it's a fake disease. Just all this stuff came out so hard, and he was kind of like that too. Like, you know, everything was, as soon as he couldn't go to the comedy store and do his comedy, he was pretty upset, and do his shows. All his shows got like, you know, like, so he, after that, he was also kind of like leaning toward, it seemed like he was leaning towards that whole, is this really a big deal?
I also hear that at the beginning he was very scared about it. But I think that it's like everybody. At the beginning we didn't have much information besides the like bad news that like they put on the TV, on the internet.
Well, it's just also what was coming out, like even doctors and everything saying. Yeah, I just think that like, I think people forget to realize, because of that, I don't want to say scare tactics or anything that came out, but because of that time where everyone was being really careful and taking it serious, that we have what we have today.
Yes,
because you can go out and go do things and go around a bunch of people because everybody's now cautious of it. They're understanding.
So talking about that, how's been like your whole experience with this virus? Like,
oh,
you
for
went
me,
back home? Do you stay here?
I went back up north to my reservation because it's deep in. Like, the thing about this disease, it was like zombies in a way. It was like wherever there was people, it was just a bad thing.
Yeah.
British Columbia was really good though, because we have, I think it's like 1% of our population actually has it. So we did. This place did really good. Other places didn't do so good, but we did really good. But I went up north back to like my reservation where there's like nobody. You know, like the closest town to us is, I guess, there's like, I don't know, 3,000 people, and most of it's rural, like, you know, way out in the farms and everything. Like the little town of Vanderhoof, which is closest by, there's not a lot of people live there. So you know, me and my girlfriend went out that way, went back home.
So it's northwest, basically?
It basically northwest, yeah. But it's actually like, Vanderhoof is the geographical center of British Columbia. The city's like the dead center of the province, and then like 10 minutes from there is the reservation called Sycas First Nation. That's where I live and come from. So I went back to the ranch, and my mom was happy to see me, and my dad was happy to have me. And they generally,
since last time you went there?
Well, last year in June I came here to Vancouver to teach at Vamma, and I didn't go back until then, until the pandemic.
A year?
Yeah, a year straight out. Yeah. So got to see my nephews and stuff, and it was all nice for the first day and everything to be like seeing everybody, and then like I realized that my dad was like, oh, I'm gonna start building that barn now because the boy is here. My girlfriend was really liking it because she likes animals, so my dog was there, my cat, she went with me. Well, because I said you could stay, you know, it's up to you. She's like, no, I'll go for an adventure, because we thought we were going for like a week or two.
The day that I got very scared was the day that the border was closed.
Yeah.
That day I was like, oh shit, because that's kind of what you see on movies. The president on the TV saying, Canadians, it's time to come home. What the fuck?
Oh, the prime minister,
I was like, what?
Yeah.
So that day I remember I get back home, and I was like, you know what, like I knew right away that work was going to be like slow. So I was like, okay, wherever I have money right now, I need to use that money to prep on any way possible. So I went and I got like a bunch of like food. I got seeds. I started to plant like veggies and stuff, and I was super scared for the first month and a half. And then I realized that, okay, as long as you take care of yourself and the way that you handle yourself with people, this will be okay.
Yeah, I was freaking out because a friend of mine, she's an athletic girl and everything. I actually helped starting to teach her how to work out. That's why she didn't pay me for it, because I told her like, I'm not a trainer. I don't got any credentials, but I'll show you how I learned how to work out, and just passing, you know, just information on, and tell her that always, if someone says they got a better way, you can go ahead and listen to them. Don't prop up my views. But she got it. She's works with Health BC, and she was up on she was like a healthy. She's in her mid-20s, and she was on a ventilator, just jacked up. And I was like, what? Yeah, and I was like,
how old is she?
Like mid-20s, like 25, around there.
What?
And I was like, into athletic, strong person. And she, and as soon as I saw that, I was like, hey guys, this is pretty serious, all right? Like, it's not, I'm not saying it's like, oh my, you get it and you drop dead, but you can be laid up pretty bad. Like, that's not a fun experience to have, you know, be breathing through a tube.
You know, that this, for me, it's kind of scary, because this whole thing It's like lots of information from so many parts at the same time, and so many like huge things happening at the same time. The fucking conflict with China, the fucking like putting people on a space. It's like it's so many things at the same time, and then we have the States with the riots. Like it looks like I'm watching the Black Mirror.
Oh yeah, I think this world is such a different place now. So there's that, and then this disease is a social disease. So it's like the one thing people are gonna do is, you know, talk to each other, interact with each other, regardless of, you know, all these problems with racism or whatever. They're gonna be around other people. So that was just an issue. It just breaks it down. It just broke apart all these concepts of like how we do our society. It's just not built for that. And as far as the race thing, that's been there forever. Yeah. Race has just been there. It's just people are really upset and frustrated. And even with cops, like I do like cops. I tell a lot of people, you need cops. Yeah. That's a super important thing. But people abuse that power for whatever reason. I don't know why.
And that will happen on like every single scenario of life. Yeah. You know, like it will be good cops and bad cops that like they use the power for something that they
good and bad people, yeah.
Same thing with the people that do martial arts. There is people that are super responsible, never get into a fight, but there is some people that they just train because they want to be that.
Just want to fight people.
That
or intimidate people, yeah.
Yeah. Lots of people have a very bad like misconception of MMA fighters.
Yes.
Like that, like it's people that is there for the fame or is there for the ego. It was this like post like, what you guys think about MMA fighters? Why people respect them so much? And this guy was like, they are egocentric, they are very abusive, blah blah blah. I was like, dude, all the MMA fighters that I know personally is like very dedicated athletes that they don't have time for bullshit. That's it. I see you, I see Morgan, I see Bilal. You guys don't think about nothing else, or at least when I present, besides training, have fun, training, and training some more, and how you can fit a little more training on between class and class. Very dedicated.
Or, you know, all the other things that like you're bound to, like, you know, chasing tail.
yeah, but you know what I mean? Yeah. Like I have never seen none of you guys being a bully or a douche or nothing like that. So
I've seen it from other fighters. I have seen it from other fighters. The first thing though is like when it says it's for the ego, everything's for the ego. Yeah. If anybody uses that, like, oh, it's just to be egocentric, and I'm like, well, dude, everything's for the ego. Because the ego is the thing that protects you, right? It's that thing in your mind that kind of goes like, no, they're all stupid and you're awesome. Now sometimes that ego could lie to you, and you could, you know, be believing your own hype more than listening to construction of like people saying you're an asshole. But that's always going to be there for that. Double on that, it's just I find MMA fighters are pretty cool to regular people, provided they don't try to fight them.
Yeah.
But I find that to really understand MMA people, I say you should be an MMA fighter, and then you meet everybody in a whole different level. And they're like, because I always say MMA guys, in my experience, all they're really cool, but it's like reminds me when I grew up on the reservation around like the criminal element. Because everyone's always kind of keeping an eye out on you, you know, everyone's giving you that gangster air, especially now in this Conor McGregor era. People, I feel, put it out more than they put out the respect era. Yeah. Like with my master Bibian Fernandez, I've never seen him once grill or give anybody the up and down, like sizing him up or whatever. Although Bibi spars really hard, so I think that he knows that if you want to give him an eyeball, we'll see in sparring, you know.
Yeah, and that's something that is control at the end of the day. Because when you're sparring,
he throws heat, my guy.
It's kind of control, right? Yeah. You know that you're not fighting; it's not a competition.
Yeah, no,
it's gonna escalate as high as you want to do it. With
No, I've seen.
Hard, I hit you hard, and we can control that.
Yeah. I've been in the room and saw two top level guys, and one guy dropped him with an overhand, and he just dropped to his knees right away. And that gentleman dropped to his knees. If I told that story, I'm sure that people would be like, oh, he's a bitch, he's a pussy, he only got touched, he doesn't have heart. And Bibi got up, he's like, oh, hey, we're okay, and everyone's good. And they took a chill, and Bibi jumped in, guy has to sit down. I was like, okay, these guys I know for a fact are guys who like to fight and will get into people's faces and will throw down, and they're still doing it with a level of respect. Someone got clipped pretty hard, but they still stopped, chill. gave him time to chill, get his bearings together. That's why I always had an issue with I think it's another thing too. I think what I was thinking about that was why I think Mexican MMA guys are that good, because I think they keep that that Cesar Chavez mentality in their head. They take boxing into MMA, and MMA is hard to brawl. Very hard to brawl. People have a really hard time with just ignoring.
Yeah, you don't like it, Tasco?
I've told friends. I haven't deleted them, but I just unfollowed them. Like I just can't hear your opinions constantly. I don't think you're a bad person.
It seems that it's like easier to be negative than to be positive.
Yeah, I'm a true believer of that positive energy trumps negative, and I will always talk well on people. I'll say I had somebody that doesn't like me very much. Someone's like, why does so and so hate you? And I was like, honestly, I don't know. Maybe it's a competitive thing, and we're in a competitive sport, and people take slights differently or assume slights. I have no idea. I've never actually got to speak with that person about it like an adult. Yeah. So I don't know. I haven't sat down like you would assume. That's something I think is really funny. I got raised by like my grandpa mostly, like the older generation. Just my parents were working real hard. But I grew up from the older generation, so they have these old-timey principles of like, it's like you face your battles, you talk man to man, shit like that. And it made me
snitch on people.
You go talk to them, you go deal with it yourself, kind of thing. And I grew up that way, and always thinking those were the only way to do it. That's why I had so much anxiety about conflict. I'm like, well, I'm gonna have to actually go deal with that person now.
Yeah, and people these days, people avoid conflict.
They don't want conflict.
Times it's some people are glad to live an unhappy life than like have any confrontation with, let's say, roommate, girlfriend, brother, mother, whatever it is.
Life is conflict. I tell that to everybody.
That's one of the things that I like about jiu-jitsu. That is
conflict.
Like,
there's no life.
Jiu-jitsu for me is like a metaphor of life. You can feel that you are the greatest, and then someone very small choke you out.
Oh yeah. Just get some small, crafty, not angry at all.
But that happened to me the other day on the school with what's the name? This gear, blonde gear.
Terry. Yeah, I trained with her today.
Yeah. That I was like, she was super calm. Like all the odds for somebody else that is out of the box and doesn't know nothing about jiu-jitsu, they will say like, no, Arturo is gonna win, of course, because he's bigger, taller, bigger, stronger. But then at the end of the day, she was so smart. She was making me do things used to put me in positions that I was not aware of.
Yeah.
So that's very cool for me on the big picture. It makes it so real, right? Like it makes it so real. You can get hurt. People can kill you if they want you.
Yeah, I tell that to everybody I ever teach. I teach everybody. I'm like, every person has 30 seconds of danger.
Yeah.
Smallest little
but we don't know.
Girl or biggest, fattest guy.
But we don't know because we live on a society that like everything is on our phones. We have such a like comfy life on every single aspect that you don't know that like there is people on the street that can kill you with their bare hands.
They can get you, in a situation. You just it reminds me of the phrase I used to that actually was an old phrase, and it was about when like America was really big on guns, like bigger than they are now. I think because the popular context is they have like an actual giant Magnum or something. But back in the day, like in the 20s and 30s, they had like pocket pistols, super common, like a 22 caliber, 5 shots in there, and so small, so concealable, and you didn't know. You were like, so everyone kind of had to be nice to each other. They kind of, don't insult his wife, don't kick his dog.
I hear that somewhere that like armed down.
Oh, an armed society is a polite society. Yeah.
Other question that I also got before, I think the battery is kind of running out.
Forget? Yeah. I was gonna say I want to get these questions out of the way. Talking too much shit.
Like I have this question from a guy like what would you tell to people that want to train a martial art? It doesn't matter if it's jiu-jitsu, boxing, whatever, but they are overweight and they are afraid of it.
You have to start. You just gotta start. It like. One of my favorite phrases I always joked around, and it just became a phrase I used, was like, if you start first, you finish first. Whoever starts faster ends up inevitably being better or puts more time into it. or thing they told me when I was like jiu-jitsu, like I'm almost gonna get my black belt. Obviously this thing messed up with a lot of stuff. This was supposed to be the year that like I technically would be available for it, and it'd be up to Bibby to give it to me, of course. But I asked one of all the black belts when I was a white belt, like, what's the best way to become a black belt? Like, is it something you just got to focus on? And they just said, no, they just said mat time. If you're on the mat all the time, you will get your black belt. And I was like, okay. And then and double up was to train with different people constantly, different, everybody different. Don't be dogmatic in the one way, which is the greatest thing about becoming an MMA fighter. Because an MMA fighter, you almost get a free pass to jump from school to school to school. If you just start out in jiu-jitsu and say like, oh, I'll use them because they're the biggest school. I'm a Gracie Baja guy. Yeah. All of a sudden now you can't go train with like other people because they get offended by it almost. They go, oh, what are you doing training with so-and-so? You're a Gracie Baja guy. We brought in so-and-so from Brazil. He's a world-class jiu-jitsu coach himself. We got you somebody, don't worry, stay here. But you become stuck in that way. But I don't know, if you're overweight, I tell people just gotta keep going. It always gets easier if you just keep dedicating to it, keep learning it, and realize it's a lot like kind of when you're talking about when we're in high school. It's still all that's in your head,
Yeah. I was overweight. Yeah. Like before I started training, like my fat percent was 28%.
Oh yeah.
28%.
I got to
now I hear that and I'm like, it hurts. What the fuck, 28%?
I was bulking for the first bit of the I got to 28% for the pandemic.
And I didn't feel fat.
Yeah.
I didn't feel fat, but then you get one of these like, actually I got this scale because I started going with you guys. Yeah. And I saw the scale that
my scale, yeah.
That's good scale, yeah. And I said, I need one. I got one on Amazon, and by that time I already had training like maybe a year and a half. So I was not on 28%. I was like on like 21 or something like that. Yep. I started working out with you guys, and on a lapse of like 4 months, I got from 19% to 30%. Right now I'm working on 13%.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I gotta get back to that. But I trained with guys that were like bodybuilder type dudes, and they couldn't really do a minute of pad work.
Yeah,
you just have to. I'd say if you just have fun what you're doing. Always understand that you're doing it for fun. That you as a person inherently have value. That's the other thing. People feel undervalued or whatever, or unvaluable. Like, oh, they're wasting their time with me or whatever. I'm like, no, come train, come work out, come hang out, and we'll do the thing. And then becomes to the point where you're not, I have to go train because I'm fat. You go, oh, I want to go box. I'm gonna box. It's gonna be fun. Yeah, or roll. Like, there's a lot of big fat jiu-jitsu black guys, or not big jiu-jitsu black belts, I should say, and they're really good. Like man, really good. They're heavyweights. They're always gonna be big people, but they're really good at jiu-jitsu. They move well, good cardio. It's just that keeping that self-value and also just always perceiving it as, oh, this is gonna be fun. Yeah. It's not something that's like, don't go to martial arts trying to find validation or something that's going to impress others. Go to it because you enjoy it.
Yeah, I think that's a huge deal, because like if you don't really love it, it's not gonna be, sustainable.
Yeah. Unsustainable.
Yes, exactly. Because you are always hating it, right? You go there because you have to go.
Yeah. No, I enjoy.
Like, for me, that's running.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I run.
I like bag work.
I run.
I hate running.
But I fucking run. I hate running.
Yeah,
I go because I know that I need it.
It's fun for me if it's super hot out. I double up in tan. Like I'll wear shorts, and I'll be like, all right, I'm gonna go for this 20-minute, 30-minute run, but I'm also gonna get a tan. So I use it for that.
The whole quarantine, I've been running like 1 hour or 10Ks, wherever it comes first.
Yeah.
If I hit 1 hour and 9.5, I stay until I get hit like 10Ks. But I hate every single second of it. I hate it. And when I was training with you guys, like, you don't know how grateful I'm with you guys. Like, honestly, like, oh my god, like I had such a like fun, and like I work normally from like 7 a.m. to like 4 p.m.
Work day.
And like getting out of work when you don't really like it, you don't want to go. You go because you already paid the membership. But with you guys, I was like just waiting for the time to get there to the 5:30 class, and then the 6:30 class, and if I have the gas to do the other class, I will do it. And just change a lot because you are enjoying it.
yeah, it's fun. It's just, I only train because it's fun. I've done it to so many people. They look at me and they got an idea. Hey, when's your next fight? And I hate that question because I don't even think about my next fight. Because I really wait for opportunities. I had two title fights. I had 3 actually, just sitting around, and they gave them to me. I won the first one. I won the second. I lost the third one. But I should have had a lot of things. I should have had a coach that was more strict with me because I let a lot of things slide that I should have been more disciplined. But that's the lesson learned. That's fine. But again, they just happened for me because like I let life do that. My favorite thing is just we'll see. You know, like, oh, what's gonna happen after this pandemic? We'll see. We'll see when it happens. When it happens, we'll deal with it. And I like that attitude. But it's just enjoy it. Just always enjoy it, and then it won't be an issue at all. You'll just have fun. You'll learn new things. You'll feel it.
Question that I have for the guys on the groups. I have this guy. He was diagnosed with cancer. So he used to do boxing. Then he got diagnosed. He had to stop because of the chemo was like very bad on him. Yeah. He's good, better, cancer free, and he's wondering like he started to do like push-ups, like calisthenics.
Yeah.
But he wants to go back to training, and he's like, okay, if I don't start from zero, what should I train? What are my options
for boxing?
He's thinking openly like boxing or Muay Thai or kickboxing. What would you recommend for someone that is coming out from something like that?
Boxing, probably. And really just stick to the bag and the pad work, and then really like feel where your body's at. Because jumping into jiu-jitsu, you don't know, like I'm not gonna be a doctor and say chemo does this and this, but just from that kind of a thing and that much atrophy of the body, it's like jiu-jitsu can be it's joint manipulation, and it can be very not that. Like you can roll, and if you're with good people, don't put me on hard at the arm. Like I'm coming back from this. I don't know if my bones or my joints are strong yet, and you may hurt me by accident, snatching that armbar a little fast or whatever, real fast. So like, jiu-jitsu can have that issue if your body isn't quite super strong yet. But jiu-jitsu is the gentle art. So, but it's really about your partners. There's some gyms I've gone to and I've seen them roll, and I'm like, you guys got. I rolled hard. Like I come from in northern BC MMA where everybody's a tough boy from the field. So like a strong boy from the field. So it's. I understand. Like just go hard. Let's just go. And that's why a lot of people in the city do like rolling with me, because I'll just go real hard, and we'll chill lighter, and I'll be like, fine. I'm okay with it. It's not emotional to me to train hard. And that.
You're not afraid of it.
Yeah, I'm like, no, let's just go real hard, and you catch me, and we'll go again, and it's nice to have that. It's kind of where I agree with sparring hard once in a while, but you don't want to do it with people that you trust.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I have my buddy Kersey I trained with, like he hit me hard, and he knew it too because I took a step back. I did that Tony Ferguson thing where I'm shaking the whips, and he came coming in with his big uppercut, and last second he notices it and uppercuts me in the solar plexus. I drop, I'm still down, and he hit me hard. My brain wasn't messed up. Like he didn't crack me again in the skull, and I fell down completely KO'd. And like he understood he had the win.
Yeah.
He just had to follow through to my skull. He just followed through to my sternum, which I can take. You can take a body shot, okay, and go down. So yeah, I would say, I don't know, I'd just say just doing boxing and kickboxing. It really depends on your trainers. That's why I like with today talking to people I did that private with, I was like, privates are good if you could do it with the right people. Like if you did a private with Bibiano and gave him like, I don't know, he charges like $500 an hour, but he's a world champion. I don't know if he would teach you a lot of stuff. He wouldn't teach you a lot of things that like would help your game, because he doesn't know your game. He's busy working on his own game. He's a champion. He's got to train hard. He's got to obviously his own family life and everything like that. So I always tell people, like, find who's a good coach, and you're gonna have to figure out who that is. Like, then it's not gonna be like people. Good coaches don't really advertise that they're a really, really good coach.
They're very busy.
They're just busy. I'm busy working with people. I'm busy teaching people. And so like, if you have to find those people, and usually it's word of mouth. Ask around, and go to this and read. It's kind of like like the internet. Read the reviews. But if you ask around and people tell you like, no, he's really good, he's cool, and you guys gotta mesh with people. That's why some MMA fighters have to change camps, because they find like I went there and I really got along with Frahas. I really understood him. I gelled well with him. I trust him. Or guys like with Gaethje's coach. Why am I forgetting his name? He's awesome. Trevor Whitman. He's a really good coach. He actually shut down his actual gym. He shut it down and made it a private gym and only works with people. But bear in mind, he's like a world championship caliber coach. So it depends on what you want to do. But I say find like a good coach who can work with you and really build up your stuff.
And be honest in the beginning. Say like, this is what I am.
Yeah.
I have this.
Yeah. And then you could be like, oh, well, let's just work the pads. We're gonna do pad work. We're gonna do bag work. We're gonna build you up, and then eventually you can get put into that kind of thing. But yeah, it's kind of what I was just saying. I do privates with people who will actually work and teach with you, teach stuff to you.
What would you tell to parents that are struggling with kids that have been bullied?
You just gotta put them in there. Gotta put them in the fight. Something like martial arts. We had kids like that at Vamma, and hard stories. But I noticed that a lot of people end up becoming like the cogs and wheels of crime, like drug organizations, are people who just they don't feel belonging. So they feel outcasted, and they end up like befriending people. Are like, oh, don't worry, homie. Hey, you do this. Hey, maybe you just hold on to this for me. Yeah, we boys, right? You hold on to this for me, and it's like, and then they just
true. And they because they want to be accepted by that person, they do
give
it.
Them some money for being a mule or selling whatever, and then all of a sudden they're part of the organization now. Yeah, and it's like, and it was that guy. It was super easy. Like I told everybody, every drug dealer I ever met, or every like gangster I ever met,
super insecure.
Cool. No, he was super cool. He was so nice and chill. But I find bullies; those are people who are insecure because they need to domineer over them. But the sad part about every bully is they got bullied too. So almost every bully had
for every bully is a bully and a half over there.
So you have to like almost understand, it's kind of like preachy in a way, but it's almost like compassion and all those things but standing up to them is important. Like you can have compassion for people, but you can't let people ride over you. It's kind of like like really hot chicks who have like really asshole abusive boyfriends. You're like, why do you stay around? It's like in the beginning they just couldn't say no. I guess I am like simplifying the process, is because I'm sure it's much more complicated. But I find with kids and parents, I say just having them learning how to fight, meaning they can take it there if they need to. They're not scared to go there, and just having them that confidence just to kind of stand a little taller and just go, no, you don't talk to me like that. And those processes
doesn't need that they're looking for a fight. They're just like.
And also, like, one of the things too about, like, I think I noticed when I worked with kids was like kids get bullied because they want to be friends with somebody, but so they're very diminutive because they're trying to be nice to somebody to get them to like them, and the person just goes, I could do whatever I want to this person. And martial arts will give them that confidence to go, I don't need friends. Like the kids I worked with, all of them liked hanging out with me. They felt really big, and I think it's really important, especially for young boys, even young girls too, just to have. Actually, I shouldn't even put it down to gender. It's just kids need good role models. Yeah, like, that's very important. Young girls need to know what a real man looks like, or what a good dude looks like. Oh, he was a nice guy. I had this teacher. He was nice to me. He did this, that. Like they just have this understanding of like that's a nice adult is like that. Or young boys. Oh, he was nice there. Yeah, you have like role models. Like he was a nice guy. He worked out, took care of his body. He was nice to everybody. Talked with everybody. Totally whoop ass. Or whatever. Yeah. That's the thing. People go to crime or to those things because they're like they had a hard life. They don't want to get rolled out on, and they don't want to get hurt. So they go, who does that? Who is that? And then this, and that person does this. Like I've been stabbed twice on the reservation from people giving me that same speech, going like, "Oh, you can talk to me like this," and I wasn't talking to them like that. I'm like, you need to calm down, bro. Yeah. I'm just telling to them that they need to settle down. Not telling them, hey, you're a bitch, shut up, you can't talk like that. I'm just like, you need to settle down. You need to like stop being so aggressive to everybody. So you're acting inappropriately, and then in that process, they try to stab me.
Oh shit!
No, it's funny because like those stories are like. Unfortunately, he passed. I knew the guy. That's the funny thing too. He was a nice person when he wasn't super drugged up and super drunk. But he was trying to do this to me in the wintertime, so out on the ice. So in his drunk mind, I'm sure he was really sly, coming up to me and going to give me the surprise. But it didn't work out. So he kind of slips. I see the knife, and then he makes this wide arc slip to my stomach, and he's slipping on the ice. So I cross block it, put it into a top wrist lock. It like worked perfectly. Like sometimes martial arts will work perfectly.
Like everything on life.
Yeah, and then sometimes martial arts never work. Like you try to do the technique and it just falls apart.
You end up like...
Yeah, it's just terrible. And like my cousins are Navajo knife fighters, and they taught me that in knife fighting, it could totally work or it could totally never work. And you also have to come to terms with you're gonna get cut.
Yeah.
And that's why you should never be in a knife fight, because you don't know how you're gonna get cut. But anyways, he went for it. And everything worked out perfectly, and I took it away from him. But that was him. He didn't want to get hurt anymore. He didn't want people to talk down on him, and he was just going through this whole space in his head that he didn't realize that we weren't the people doing that to him.
Yeah.
And like, if I got to talk to him, obviously when he sobered up, he didn't want to talk about it anymore. But if he could have, I think we could have come to like, who really makes you feel like that? What do you need to actually direct that energy towards? So I find that's how kids become bad in a way. I don't think there's really such thing as bad kids.
Yeah, true.
But they become that way because they just don't want to be hurt. They want to be like everybody. They want to be treated with a certain level of respect and a certain level of self-security. Now that can be skewed based on the way you're raised, because obviously, as we know, if you have a kid that you just give him everything he wants, he thinks he's entitled to everything.
Yeah.
So there is
and that's the kind of kid that when he have a real problem and had to fight, he will not know how, because his dad and mom have get everything from him all the time and do everything for him. And
yeah, so that's kind of how it is. Those people, if I've understood, they hurt people, and it's the thing about hurting people. It's really to that thing is like, you live by the sword, you'll die by the sword.
True.
And it's almost everybody I've ever known, unfortunately, that got into that kind of life, ended up getting them, and they never got to live. They never got to live a happy life. They never got to live a life of peace.
True.
And a lot of my like role models, that's what they strove for. Like Crazy Horse, he didn't want to actually fight the U.S. Army. He just had to because they were genociding his people, and he actually wanted to live a life of peace. He wanted to be a nobody. Just wanted to be a native guy on the prairies hunting buffalo. So, and Miyamoto Musashi, he did want to become the greatest swordsman, but eventually in his older age, he didn't want to fight no more. He became, writing calligraphy and.
Okay guys, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Don't forget to like and to subscribe to this channel to keep getting content like this. Thank you very much and peace.